As Max wove the chilling tale of the Fear Reaper, the moon cast an eerie glow on the faces of the campers huddled around the campfire. Once a notorious thief in the shadows, the Fear Reaper's dark legacy began with a fateful night. Breaking into a secluded cabin nestled deep within the woods, he stumbled upon an unsuspecting family. A violent clash erupted, and in the chaos, the Reaper took the lives of all but one surviving family member. As the authorities arrived, he vanished into the haunting woods, leaving behind only the survivor's chilling tale and a vivid description of the remorseless figure that became the Fear Reaper. Legend had it that if his name was spoken 3 times in the woods, even in a whisper, he would appear from the shadows seeking vengeance. Jake, a hint of mischief in his eyes, decided to test the legend. Instead of blurting out the name all at once, he chose a cautious approach. With each whisper of the Fear Reaper's name, Jake's voice trembled in the night air, the words barely audible over the crackling of the campfire. The atmosphere shifted subtly with each utterance, as if the very trees were listening to the forbidden name. The others exchanged nervous glances, a collective shiver running down their spines. The first utterance was almost like a secret shared among friends, a hushed acknowledgement of the legend. The second time, Jake's tone dropped lower, a mixture of curiosity and trepidation. By the third whisper, anxiety hung thick in the air, the campers exchanging uneasy glances as they unwittingly became part of an ominous ritual. In those moments, the woods seemed to respond, every rustle and creak echoing the growing tension. The Fear Reaper's name lingered like a haunting echo, and a palpable sense of foreboding settled over the camp. Little did they know, with each whispered invocation, they were beckoning the presence of the psychotic Fear Reaper, setting in motion a chain of events that would plunge the once festive camp into a chilling nightmare. As the last whisper escaped Jake's lips, a sudden stillness enveloped the camp. The nocturnal sounds of the forest hushed into an uneasy silence. The flickering campfire cast dancing shadows, amplifying the suspense that clung to the air like a thick fog. The group, once gathered in camaraderie, now stood on the precipice of an unknown terror. An ominous breeze rustled the leaves overhead, and the distant howl of a lone wolf echoed through the woods. The once familiar night sounds now carried an unsettling resonance. The campers exchanged anxious glances, their collective breaths held in suspense as they waited for something to happen. Suddenly, a twig snapped in the darkness, sending a collective gasp through the group. The forest seemed to come alive with unseen movements, and the shadows deepened as if concealing a lurking presence. Panic set in as the realization dawned that they had awakened something beyond the realm of legend. A low, guttural sound emerged from the depths of the woods, chilling their bones. The Fear Reaper materialized, his figure cloaked in darkness, a menacing silhouette against the moonlit night. His eyes, filled with a madness that sent shivers down their spines, fixated on the group as if they were intruders in his twisted domain. The campers, gripped by fear, scattered in all directions, the once cohesive group now reduced to a frenzied attempt at survival. The woods transformed into a nightmarish maze, with twisted branches reaching out like gnarled fingers, snagging at those who dared to defy the legend. Desperation fueled their every step as they sprinted through the tangled underbrush, the Fear Reaper relentless in his pursuit. Each breath was a strained gasp, and every heartbeat reverberated like a drum in the oppressive silence. The camp, now a haunting labyrinth, echoed with the echoes of their frantic footsteps. In a stroke of desperation, the survivors stumbled upon an old, dilapidated cabin. With trembling hands, they slammed the door shut, hoping to escape the madness that pursued them. Inside, the air was thick with fear, every creak of the worn floorboards amplifying their trepidation. As the night wore on, the survivors clung to the feeble hope that dawn would bring an end to the nightmare. Huddled in the dimly lit cabin, they exchanged wary glances, haunted by the echoes of the silent woodsman's name that had unleashed a psychotic force upon their once innocent camp in the heart of the foreboding woods. As the survivors cautiously stepped out of the cabin with the first light of dawn, an unsettling stillness clung to the camp. The Fear Reaper, or so they thought, had vanished into the shadows, leaving behind an uncanny quiet. Their uneasy relief turned to dread as they noticed the trees whispering in a language only the forest understood. Faint murmurs surrounded them, and the wind carried an eerie melody through the branches. The survivors exchanged nervous glances, realizing that they might not be alone. As they retraced their steps through the dense woods, an ominous feeling grew. Shadows seemed to flicker in the corners of their vision, and the very air felt charged with an otherworldly presence. The camp, once a haven, now felt like a stage for something darker. A low, haunting hum echoed through the trees, as if the forest itself was alive with secrets. The survivors quickened their pace, their footsteps drowned out by the ominous sounds that trailed them. It was as if the Fear Reaper had left something behind, something that refused to fade away. Just as they thought they were in the clear, a distant, bone-chilling laughter echoed through the trees. The survivors froze, their breaths caught in their throats. The laughter seemed to surround them, growing louder with each passing second. Panic set in as they realized the legend might not be over. The woods closed in, the shadows morphing into indistinct figures. The survivors stumbled forward, haunted by the laughter that seemed to pierce their very souls. As they reached the edge of the forest, the laughter crescendoed into a sinister symphony, leaving the survivors on the precipice of an unknown and ominous fate. With a lingering sense of dread, the survivors cast one last glance into the depths of the woods, where the laughter continued to echo. The legend of the Fear Reaper, it appeared, was far from concluded, and the chilling mystery that clung to the forest promised a continuation of the eerie tale.